7 pieces of rope have an average arithmetic mean length of 68 centimeters and a median length of 84 centimeters. If the length of the longest piece of rope is 14 centimeters more than 4 times the length of the shortest piece of rope, what is the maximum possible length in centimeters of the longest piece of rope? Alright, problem like this and any problem, first step, how am I going to organize it? How am I going to think about it? I've got 7 pieces of rope and I don't know much about them, so the first tool is lines. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. I'm going to say this is right up there with tables as a useful organizing tool in a GMAT. If you've got 7 spots, write out 7 spots, think about what we know about them. And the second thing, what are we asked for? We're asked for a maximum length. And that puts it broadly in the category of a min-max problem. Min-max problems are their own type of problem on the GMAT, and in them, your goal is to either make something as big or as small as possible, or just to find both of those limits. In this case, what we're maximizing is the longest piece. Whenever I do these spots, I'm always going to put them shortest to longest, so I'm saying the longest piece is right here. We're maximizing it. And anytime we're maximizing something, we're generally going to have 2 approaches. We either maximize it by maximizing something else, like if this was equal to 4m, and we'd say, well, let's just maximize m, and that'll maximize it. Or we maximize it by minimizing something else. We say, you know what? I've only got so much pizza, and if I want to eat the most pizza possible, I'm going to have to minimize what you eat. So there you go. In this problem, what do we know? So the first fact we're given, average length of 68 centimeters. Whenever the GMAT talks about average, you might be tempted to use some sort of average formula you've learned in the past. But what I'm here to tell you is that average problems are really about sum. And since I don't like dividing, I'm going to use a version of this formula in which I have everything multiplied rather than divided. Sum equals average times number. So when they start talking about average on the GMAT, I don't worry about average equals sum divided by number. I worry about sum equals average times number, and I found that's very helpful for me. So when I hear average length of 68 centimeters, I think, cool, 68 centimeters average, and hey, I already know the number, there are 7 of these, that means I know the sum, I can figure it out. Lots of good ways to do this. Here's the one I would do. 70 times 7 would be 490, and then I just need to take away 2 times 7 minus 14. And so that puts me 480, 476. Another way to do it, just do out the math. 68 times 7. 7 times 8 is 56. 7 times 6, 42. Plus the 5 is 7. Luckily, I got the same value both times, so it seems like I'm doing these correct. Either way, I figured out the sum is 476. And this is useful when you think, okay, now I can just think I could add all these up, and I know what they have to add up to. They're going to add up to 476. Next fact, the median length is 84 centimeters. Median means the middle term. We've got 7 terms. This is the middle term. That's got to be 84. That's what we learned from there. So fill it in. The longest one is 14 centimeters more than 4 times the length of the shortest piece of rope. Okay, so this longest one is 14 centimeters more than 4 times the shortest. Let's call this S for shortest. And so then 14 centimeters more than 4 times the shortest. Now I've got an equation that relates these two. And I've got one variable in here. I would love to stop here. That's always my goal, is to not have more than one variable, because then I know I'll be able to solve it. What is the maximum length in centimeters of the longest piece of rope? Okay, well, I'm trying to maximize this. I don't know anything about 4 of these. The thing is, I do know that I'm trying to maximize this. And I know that I only have 476 total centimeters of rope to deal with. So it means for the rest of these things, I want to minimize them. Because the way to get the most here is to get the least possible everywhere else, so that the most out of this total 476 centimeters can be devoted to this longest piece of rope. So I think, what's my limitation here? What's the lowest values that could possibly be in this for these pieces of rope? Well, I know they're in between these, right? In that 84 on one end and 14 plus 4s have to set boundaries. Otherwise, this wouldn't be the median and this wouldn't be the longest. And since I'm trying to minimize them, I want them as close to 84 as possible. And it turns out between, at least as they use this word on the GMAT, isn't really the right word to use because there's no rule saying they have to be greater than 84. They just have to be 84 or greater. As long as this is in that spot, that's the median. And so I could have three things all as 84. 84 would still be the median. That's the way to minimize these two. For these two, same principle applies. They have to be between S and 84, but they don't actually have to be between them. They could be S or 84, so I'm just going to make them S. And now I've minimized the 4 spots that were unknown, and I've set up a single variable equation I can solve. S plus S plus S plus 4S looks like 7S to me. 84 plus 84 plus 84 plus 14, I can't do in my head, so I'm going to figure that out. 84 times 3 is going to be 12, 24, 25, plus 14 is going to be 266. Okay, so I've got 7S plus 266 equals 476. Subtract 266 from each side. And now I'm going to have 210 equals 7S, and therefore S equals 30. So that's the algebra part, and it's not too bad once you've set it up. We know that S equals 30. The question is, what's the max of the longest one? And that's why it's useful to write the question out from the start so we don't forget and stop there and think 30, we're good. 30 is going to give us this, but we have to say 4 times 30 is 120 plus 14 equals 134. That must be the maximum length for the longest one, 14 plus 4S, or in this case, choice D is the answer we want. So again, min-max problem. Think, I'm going to maximize this, I'm going to need to minimize everything else. 7 pieces of rope problem, or any kind of thing where we've got a bunch of variables. Don't give them all variables, don't think about it that way, think about spots. Think, I have 7 spots and I just need to fill those in, and have the goal of getting a single variable equation. So if we can express these both in terms of S, all the better. And if we can express everything else in terms of actual values or S once we minimize it, even more so. Then we're just doing algebra and multiplication to solve for D. Let's talk about the principles involved in this problem, and one of them's right up here. When you see the word average on the GMAT, immediately think sum equals average times number, and it's almost certainly going to be valuable to calculate that sum. You're going to want to find that term in most situations. Next piece to think about. In addition to that, use spots. We could have said something like L equals 4S plus 14, right? And then we would have had an S and an L, and we would have had this whole longer setup of variables, more to work with. Spots are better than variables. It's greater than variables. And as you've probably seen by now, a lot of my techniques are around reducing your need to rely on a bunch of different variables. Next point. Again, max, one thing by either min another or max another. And know what you're dealing with. The metaphor here is, are we growing the pie? Are we making a larger amount in total to divide up among everyone so that everything grows together, which would be equivalent to increasing 476, which of course we can't do here? Or are we trying to just divvy it up different so that we can grab more of the pie for who we want it to? And since the total is fixed, we're saying we want to grab as much as that total for this, and therefore we're minimizing the other pieces. All right, thanks for watching. This is part of my series, the 10 toughest problem-solving problems from the latest official guide. I'm doing this for you because I want you to have the principles that make your life easier, and the tools that make your life easier on the GMAT, and the knowledge that lets you know when and how to use those things. If this is something useful to you, like, subscribe. If you have questions, put them in the comments. I want to respond. I want to be there for you, and I want to help you on that GMAT journey. If you're interested in more help than just me talking to a screen, check out our classes over at Test Crackers. We really work to make them the best small group, highly interactive courses that you can see. Our students give us great reviews, and that's because I think we really do provide the support you need to hit that maximum score and to do your best and be your most competitive when you are applying to business school. All right, thanks for watching.